Hey guys, this is Richard with Salt Strong. Today I want to go over a few lures and how to rig them when you're fishing high current situations. So let's get into it. So over here on the East Coast, we have very large tide swings, and during the middle part of that tide, a lot of times it can be extremely strong current. However, this can be some of the best times to fish. So I want to go over these lures and show you exactly how I rig them to be successful. So starting out, I really enjoy using a paddle tail. I also really like having a paddle tail that has a jig head on it. The reason why is because, when you're in these high current situations, it can be very difficult to get your bait down into the strike zone. So I like using a jig head. This one's a 1/4 ounce for a lot of these high current situations. One other thing to think about why you should use a heavier jig during these situations is, especially with a paddle tail, is this tail actually causes drag in the water. So you can even, just let this do kind of a dead fall, so to speak, and that tail's actually going to keep it going a little bit slower than, say, something like a jerk shad. That's going to be a little bit more streamlined and not have this tail behind it. So that's one more thing to consider. However, I like having this bigger jig head. That way you can cover more of the water column and just cover more water because it's a little bit heavier. So really like a paddle tail. Okay, so my second favorite presentation to use during high current periods is going to be the shrimp profile. This is a Power Prawn Junior. I have it rigged here just on, I think it's a 1/16 ounce weighted hook. You can also use a small jig head, but I really like using a lighter jig head or weighted hook for this scenario. The reason why is what you're trying to mimic is a small shrimp getting washed away with the current. So really the concept behind this and what you want to do is throw up current of your intended target zone. That way when you throw this lure up current, it's going to have enough time to slowly sink down but still look natural. And by the time it gets to your target zone, it's going to be in the exact right spot that you need it. This is also a great lure for throwing to spooky fish or fish that are feeding kind of in the middle of the water column like trout. This is a killer presentation for them, and it works great. And probably the most effective way to fish this in high current is going to be the dead drift. So you don't really want a lot of line tension on this lure. You kind of want it to just drift with the current, not have a lot of tension on the line. Really a little bit of slack line is what you need in order to get this lure looking natural and just getting washed away. And if you do that, you can really have some good success. The only drawback with that is you're not going to necessarily feel the bites all the time, and that's why I actually like using like a high vis type of braid like yellow or something like that. It just gives you an extra little bit of an indicator for when that strike happens and you can see it. Okay, so my third favorite way to fish high current situations is going to be with a popping cork. So similar to the dead drift with the shrimp here, you are still going to have a shrimp profile, you're just adding the cork to it. So I like this for really two main reasons. One, you can actually set your depth with your leader length and know exactly where in the water column those fish are feeding, compared to if you were just doing a dead drift with the shrimp. It's kind of tough to know exactly where your bait is. But with this, you can say, hey, I'm going to put it at 2 feet for my leader length, and you know exactly where this is going to be in the water column. The second reason is it still gives you the same benefit of that dead drift, but it's also going to have the cork here as an indicator. So your timing on your hook sets are often going to be a lot better because you're actually going to visibly be able to see when that fish strikes. And the concept is still the same, and I do still throw up current of the intended target area or where I really think those fish are going to be. And many times I don't even have to make a pop in order to get a strike. I can just do that same dead drift technique with this lure, and a lot of times you will still get strikes. One other thing I do want to add with this is I like using a little bit heavier of a weight. This is just a 1/4 ounce weighted hook here. You can use a jig head, it doesn't really matter. However, I like having a heavier weight because what this does is it really helps get you that exact leader length that you put down. So if you have too light of a weight, it's gonna ride up in the current a little bit still, and you're not gonna quite get down as far as you want or think you are, depending on how long your leader is. So I do like having a heavier weight. And one other thing as well with these popping corks, a lot of them have beads. And one of the things that I really like is when it returns back to normal, you get those little clicks. I personally feel like when those little clicks happen, I catch more fish, but that's just me. So I do end up liking a little bit heavier weight because it helps kind of bring that cork up and make those clicks happen when it gets back upright again. So I hope you found these tips helpful, and if you're interested in any of these lures, we do sell these on our shop page at fishstrong.com. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online fishing club for saltwater anglers, especially if you're targeting redfish, sea trout, snook, or flounder. There's nothing else like it, and we actually guarantee that you'll catch more fish while saving time and money. We do this with our premium education, the exclusive insider community, and huge discounts on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, hope to see you again soon.